In 1914, Europe went to war in a war that was supposed to end all wars. However, 4.5 years and millions of deaths later, it turned out it was a major catastrophe and it paved the way for an even more destructive war. This brings us to the question, what caused the First World War? Stay tuned! Hey, welcome back regular viewers, my name is Stefan, I'm a history teacher from the Netherlands and I'm hustling history for you. If you liked it as well, please consider subscribing and do hit the notification bell to join the hustle. Let's start. What caused the First World War? In the 19th century, there was a rise of a so-called three isms. The first ism I'm going to talk about was the rise of nationalism. Over the course of the 19th century, people found themselves in countries they did not want to belong to. They wanted to secede and establish their own nation. Or other people that wanted to belong to another country. Some states believed in their own superiority and that they had the right or the duty, so to say, to conquer other nations. A very troublesome region at that time was the Balkan area. Here there were living Slovenes, Croats, Bosniaks. Most of them lived in what was back then the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Then there were also countries like Serbia, Bulgaria and Romania that fought themselves free from the Ottoman Empire. There was a region of Alsace-Lorraine that once belonged to France, but Germany annexed it after the Franco-Prussian War of 1870-71. The French, they were resentful towards Germany. They wanted to reclaim their lost territory back. Then there was also imperialism, or modern imperialism as you will. European nations strived for large overseas colonial empires. In the 19th century, France and Great Britain acquired most of their overseas territories located on the Asian and the African continent, where they established a large colonial army. Now, sometimes it happened that two different nations wanted to colonize the same area. An example of this was the Fashoda incident that occurred in 1898, where France and Great Britain almost clashed when it came down to a territory that is located in modern South Sudan. Eventually, Britain and France appeased themselves with each other. However, they did not appease themselves with Germany. And the third ism is militarism. After Germany proclaimed victory over France in 1871, both countries actually made plans for a future war. The military had huge influence over the politics and also over the people. They want to bring war as a heroic concept to the people for young and old. And you can see that on these pictures where they dress up children in military uniforms. Try to do that these days. Another cause was the rise of Germany as a military and industrial power. Germany for a long time consisted of separate states, and Germany was a fair latecomer when it came down to nation building. But here was Otto von Bismarck, the infamous Reich Chancellor, and he strived for the unification of the German states, which he did after wars with Denmark, Austria and France. And thus the German Empire was proclaimed in 1871. Absolute power was in the hands of the monarch, Kaiser Wilhelm I at that time. However, he passed away in 1888. He was succeeded by Frederick III, who passed away shortly after, and he was succeeded by Wilhelm II. Now, Wilhelm II, he went his own way, and he pushed Bismarck aside. See, Bismarck, he always strived for realpolitik, in other words, realistic policies. He did not want to agitate foreign powers in order to prevent a future war. He only wanted to wage a war when he was certain of winning it. Now, Wilhelm II was much more reckless, and he applied Weltpolitik, in other words, world politics. Wilhelm II, he wanted to transform Germany into a global power with a place under the sun, a strong army, and a large colonial empire. Another cause were the alliances that were formed. Countries allied themselves with other nations to stand strong in case of a war. They thought Out of fear, well, we can better align ourselves with other nations that if a war will break out, well, we'll stand strong. However, this only increased the chances of war because now politicians behave more recklessly. In 1882, the Triple Alliance was signed between Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. In 1907, the Triple Entente was established with France, Great Britain, and the Russian Empire. In case of military aggression, they ensured each other they would lend support when another nation was attacked by an enemy. However, they did not foresee the major catastrophe this would lead to. Then there were the mistakes of political leaders. Now, this is a topic of debate because which political leader made the gravest mistake? Well, I'm not gonna dive into that. If you have any ideas on that, please leave it down below. But what you need to know for now is that most European politicians did not see the changed economic and political landscape that basically made war inevitable. They also thought that making alliances would avoid war, and because of nationalism, imperialism, and militarism, they thought that if war would break out, it would last very short. There was an overestimation of each country's own military capacities and an underestimation of the military capacities of the opponent. And then there was a direct cause, the July crisis. Now, when I teach my pupils about causes, I make a distinction between causes and direct causes. A cause is an underlying reason that fueled a certain event to take place. A direct cause, in Dutch we have a different word for that, aanleiding, is what we call the drop that floated the bucket, if you understand what I'm saying. And that drop fell in Sarajevo on the 28th of June 1914, because here the Austrian-Hungarian crown prince was assassinated by Gavrilo Princip. He was a member of a Serbian terrorist organization called the Black Hand. The Austrian-Hungarian government accused the Serbian government of helping the Black Hand in this assassination, and they handed over an ultimatum with 10 demands to the Serbian government. If the Serbian government did not agree with all of these demands, the Austro-Hungarians would declare war. Actually, the Serbian government did comply to the demands, except for one that basically came down to Austrian-Hungarian delegates entering Serbian soil. However, this here was the reason, so to say, for the Austrian-Hungarian Empire to declare war on Serbia. And do note here that Germany had given a blanco check to Austria. What does this mean? Well, basically, it would support every choice Austria-Hungary would make. The time had come to take a stand. The Austrian ultimatum had been drawn up with German connivance. Its acceptance by Belgrade would transform Serbia into a de facto protectorate of the Central Powers, were Russia to abandon its historic mission to secure the independence of the Slav peoples. She would be considered a decadent state, would forfeit all her authority and her prestige in the Balkans, and would henceforth have to take second place among the powers. On the 28th of July, Austro-Hungary declared war on Serbia. As a result of this, Russia mobilized. On August 1st, Germany declared war on Russia. On August 2nd, Germany and the Ottoman Empire become allies. On August 3rd, Germany declares war on France. On August 4th, Britain declares war on Germany. And on the 6th of August, Austria-Hungary declares war on Russia. The First World War had begun. Millions of men were marching towards a conflict that was supposed to end all wars, and they expected they would be home before Christmas 1914. However, it became Christmas 1918, and many of them would never return home. This was a very broad topic in a very summarized format, so if you feel something is being left out, feel free to leave a comment down below and I will get back at you. Now, a couple of years back, I went to the place where one of the bloodiest battles of the First World War had taken place, the Battle of Verdun. Made a video there. So if you want to check that video out, click here any second. Now, I want to give a shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much for your support, and especially the President, Colin Castleman, Henry Clarkson, and Michael Nosak. Thank you for your support. Do not forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you later.